How are you guys doing? Welcome back to another video. Today we are discussing the Bscpad Launchpad. Now in particular, we're going to look at what the Bscpad Launchpad looks like right now, the current status of the project, and my personal price prediction. There's plenty of reviews out there, so what you really want to know, what you really need to know is how the project is doing right now. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Is it still relevant for you to get into this Launchpad? Yes or no? So without further ado, let's get into that. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me again today. Before we move forward, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Very much appreciated. Look at that, my hair is not working again. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Just make sure to note down I am not a financial advisor. And with that being said, let's get started. So the Bscpad is another Bluezilla launchpad. It was for sure one of the biggest launchpads in the previous bull run, and it is created on the Binance Smart Chain. Now, the launchpad right now continues to be one of the prominent bigger launchpads, but should it still be one? Is it still profitable? Looking over here at the tiered system, that will be the first piece of the puzzle. So we're going to look at the tiered system first to see if the tiered system is still looking good and how everything works. After that, we're going to look at the rest of the token utility, the rest of the website, and we're obviously going to move over to the white paper and the price prediction. So let's get started with this, however. So tiered systems tend to change a lot. Currently, this is how the tiered system looks, but a couple of months ago, that might have looked completely different. The first tier is called Bronze, and it will require you to stake 1,000 Bscpad tokens, which are currently going for 16 cents. So there is at the moment 6 tiers that you could acquire. Now the first one, of course, being around 1,000 tokens. So let's go ahead and see how much money that actually is. It's a very simple calculation. Of course, it is 1,000 times 16. So that would be something along the lines of this, which will turn out to be $160 for the first tier, which is not a guaranteed allocation. This will give you a lottery ticket, which will give you a chance to be winning a guaranteed allocation. You will also need to do the whitelist requirements, which means you have to like, comment, and retweet. So quite a lot of money, respectively, only for a chance at winning a small allocation while also having to do the whitelist requirements. So let's take a look at the first tier that will not give you a lottery ticket, but instead a fully guaranteed allocation. Okay, so the very first guaranteed allocation is all the way over here at Platinum. This will give you a guaranteed allocation. It will cost you 10,000 staked Bscpad tokens. So again, same calculation, but then just a little bit bigger. We're going to look at 10,000 and we'll do that times 15 it was, right? 16 actually. So it's going to be a little bit more than 1,500, but roughly $1,500 right now for that first guaranteed allocation tier. Now, what is very important for you to understand is that there's a lot of other launchpads out there, even on the Binance Smart Chain, that have guaranteed allocations for much less money. So keeping that in mind, what is very important when we take into consideration whether we want to go with Bscpad or another pad is, do we get worth for our money? Is it worth to spend that more than $1,000 for that guaranteed allocation, or should we instead spend that $1,000 somewhere else in a different launchpad, right? Before we move over to that, and we'll find that out immediately after this when we look at the projects. Before we do that, however, let's take a look, just for comparison purposes, what the most expensive tier is going to be looking like money-wise. So that will be 75,000, and of course we do that times 16 cents. So boom, look at that, 12K for that highest tier. So that is very large. Now you will get a look at that pool weight, 60 plus private allocations, and you will not need to do any whitelist requirements, of course. So as long as you have guaranteed allocation, you also don't need whitelist requirements. So that is interesting to understand. But then again, there's also launchpads out there that will give you and a way cheaper guaranteed allocation, and will not need you to also do whitelist requirements. So they really need to have some very good projects or some very strong token utility in order to demand this from their investors. So they have a bunch of information here on the website. It's not really that interesting, just of course that they are part of the Bluezilla ecosystem, which is of course a company that has created many Launchpad, Bscpad, among the many of them. They do in fact have a very strong marketing team, so whether you like Bluezilla or not, they are undoubtedly a very strong and big player in the crypto space with a very talented team overall. Right, so this is all that's over here on the website. Let's move over to the very interesting stuff, which is the projects. Right, this is why you are staking for your tier, because you want to start participating in these projects. Now, let's look at the current status of this. So we are seeing one project coming soon and 0 projects currently open. That is not a good thing. Of course, we're always looking for launchpads that always have consistently projects launching. Bscpad at the moment does not have any projects live. They do, of course, have one coming up, but the swap rate, the cap, and the asses, the cap and the swap rate are all to be announced, including the date as well. So they have no idea when this is going to launch. So it's coming soon, but we don't know anything about it. So all we can really look at is the closed projects, the projects that already happened. So we're going to look at the track record of the Bscpad project, see how well the IDOs did, and we do that on CryptoRank, right? So one of their IDOs, one of the projects that they have launched is called Whitepaper. Now, here we can see on the token sale that this was a very good launch. Apart from the IEO, all of the other rounds made great profits. Here a 8x and here a 4.5x. Now you can see that this project launched on all of the Bluezilla launchpads, both Bscpad and ETHpad. So, well, not all of them, but at least the ETHpad and the Bscpad, right? And great profits were made. So they definitely have some good projects out there. But the problem is they also have projects that didn't perform so well. Here, for instance, we have a Verve. Let's see here. That's this project right there. More than 3,700 investors participated in this sale. This was the private sale that they did on Bscpad. So looking over here at private, we can see that there was a huge profit made. So all of these, right, the IEO, sorry, this is Whitepaper. Look at the wrong one. Private, look at this. Private price not set. So we cannot actually see what the investors made of that. So that's interesting. Maybe we can look at another one. I opened one more, which is Metafluence. Here we can see that everything is in red, so it doesn't really matter what round they participated in. They're all in full red. We can take a quick look though. Metafluence, we see here, they did both the private, so this is the private rounds that they did. So the private, there are 2 private rounds, but the Bscpad investors either made a -52 or -58%. Both are really bad. So yes, there are successes. There are little gems that shine on Bscpad, such as Whitepaper, but we also have projects like Metafluence that just didn't do very well. Looking at all of the projects combined, the majority of the projects did bring returns, but if you compare this to other launchpads that have lower prices, easier to enter, we can see that those have roughly the same type of track record. So at this point, it is hard to justify the current price and requirements to participate in Bscpad compared to other launchpads that have lower barriers but have the equal or even better results for their projects. Combined that they currently don't have any projects alive really makes it hard to sell the idea of getting into Bscpad rather than a cheaper or a other launchpad at the moment. Now, maybe there are other USPs that would drag us to Bscpad. Now, in order to find that out, we have to go over their white paper and the rest of their website, including staking, to really find out if there's any other reasons why we would pay this money to be able to participate in Bscpad rather than do it somewhere else. So the only other utility to the Bscpad token is staking, right? There's nothing else that you can do with the token. We do not have an NFT marketplace. We don't have a lottery. We do not have a farming or mining mechanism, nothing of the sort. So the only utility is staking and participating in the IDOs. Now that is fine, but it is very important to note that down, because if the token doesn't have any other utility apart from the projects and there's no current projects going on, then the price will become increasingly difficult to sustain, which is exactly what we have been seeing on the price charts, right? So anyways, before we go over to the tokens and the price predictions and all that, let's quickly look at the staking. So like any Bscpad Launchpad, it is very simple and comprehensive on what you have to do and how. So here you have a very simple overview with the number of stakers, the total Bscpad that is staked, and the APY. You also have here all of the the steps that you will have to take, the checkpoints, and you can do everything here very simple. Here you can stake, unstake, and withdraw, and as long as you have your wallet connected and you bought your tokens on one of the exchanges, you can go ahead and stake there. Buying your tokens, you can do that on PancakeSwap, MEX, or Gate.io, or you can even buy with fiat. So very good UI, very simple to follow. So, but again, that's the only utility to the token, right? We have staking, we have guaranteed allocations, we have lotteries, and that is it. So that is all for the website. Now let's move into the token and look at the price, and in particular the price prediction for the Bscpad Launchpad, and then we're going to move over to the white paper and the current state of the community and the community sentiment to really make an overall judgment of the current state of this project and what I think the price is going to be doing in the future. So stay tuned for that. So as we see here in the price, Bscpad has had its ups and downs. So they started here with a very successful TGE, right? Over on CryptoRank, you can see that their own TGE made an 8x on the IDO, 10.9x on the private round, and a 13x on the seed round. So Bscpad started off as a very successful project, and the price continued to stay very high. The all-time high was at $6.4. After that, it did drop down quite a bit. Obviously, the token investors were dumping their tokens. The original hype was kind of slowing down, and around this time, the market conditions also got slightly worse. So the market and the coin went down. They did have some spikes here and there. After that, one more surge where the token went all the way back up to $2.3 from the 43 cents it was at previously, before then lowering down again, and it hasn't really gone up since. So thus far we have 3 surges that the token has done so far, right? 3 times that it spiked up and basically went down again. Now what that shows, as I always phrase it, is that the token has excitement, right? It's excited to go up. There's plenty of tokens that have one big spike, they go down, they stay down. Nothing happens with that after that. But what Bscpad token has shown is that there is enough traction from the community, that there's enough token utility, and that there is enough hype that when the token goes down, it has the ability to come up again. It did that 3 times already, which makes it easy to assume that the Bscpad, especially because the team is still actively working on it, can do it again. Now, Bscpad is very tied to the current state of the market, right? It's quite a big launchpad, lots of investors, and thus its ties with the current market sentiment is very strong. If you just open CoinGecko right now, you can see that the market is struggling, and therefore Bscpad is also struggling. And you know, it's easy to assume that the price has potential, right? Because if we look at the current holders of the token, we can see that more than 15,000 people are holding this token in their wallet, despite the price being as low as it is right now. meaning that at least 15,500 people trust Bscpad and expect the Launchpad to go up in price. Now, what the judgment out of that, what can we make? Like, what type of judgment can we make from that? Well, obviously, we don't want to be sheep. We don't just want to follow the herd. If everybody does it, we should do it as well. That's not the point. The point is it has potential. And that's very important to realize. Now, another thing that we can see over here is that there is a lot of big holders, right? Over here, these are people that are holding tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Bscpad. Now, if these people thought that Bscpad was not going to have another surge, their money wouldn't be there right now. So a lot of big whales are very confident in the price of Bscpad. And I can assure you that they have done their research, that they have done their price estimations, and they feel like the token will go up and the utility is high. Take that into account, right? Clearly, we never can be 100% sure, but it is a great indication that Bscpad has potential. Now, another thing that we can look at is the actual price predictions over on price prediction. And these are usually not very accurate, but it is good to give a little bit of an overview. So in 2022, the minimum price is set at 21 cents, and in 2023, that is already set to be at 30 cents. So we do see an upward trend over here on this price prediction, and it does make sense. After all, we are having a 13 million market cap with over 5,500 holders. So I'll show you guys right now on the daily chart. You can tell that there is no liquidity issues whatsoever. The token is very stable because it has that relatively low market cap with a lot of investors. So the price isn't very dependable. It's not very volatile, making it a safer investment. And, it has a downward trend over the past week, but over the past month, it has an overall upward trend. All of the charts are currently in green in both the volume, which is very high, by the way, 51,000 of volume, fully diluted the market cap, and the market cap itself all went up. Still, 36,500 people have it on their watch list, and the overall sentiment on CoinMarketCap is more so bullish than it is bearish. So overall, I am quite positive about the price of the Bscpad. I feel like it would be very hard to imagine that Bluezilla would let their main launchpad just fall and drop down. I don't see the Bluezilla team abandoning this project in any way, shape, or form, and I don't see the Bscpad community abandoning trust in the project either. And because of the power that this token has shown before, with the ability to climb back up again, I think that it is very likely to make the assumption that another surge in price will be likely in the next bull run. Now, how high exactly is it going to come? Well, no one really knows, but it has shown to go back to this 60 cent mark, right around 40, 50, 60 cent many times in its history. And currently that would be a 5x-ish. So it would be safe to assume when the market conditions light up a bit that Bscpad could at least do a 5x on itself and become worth around 50 to maybe even 60 cents. If we arrive into a full-blown bull market, it is easy to assume that it could probably reach $1 or more. It has shown to do that before, and Bscpad is very susceptible to hype. If there's a lot of hype, the price will skyrocket. If there's not a lot of hype, you're going to get to prices like we are right now at 16 cents. Regardless, it looks, and I think, again, not financial advice, I think we have kind of found pretty much the low end of the token. Right? Yes, it could theoretically drop a lot more, but it looks like the Bscpad isn't going to dip below 10 cents. So with that in mind, now could be a very interesting moment to actually get in and buy the token. But again, because it doesn't have any active projects as of right now, where I would personally hold off just a little bit longer. If the price would still be quite low and they would start launching projects, then it would be a good entry point. Now, we're going to look over at the Twitter to see if they have currently any plans to be very actively posting projects again. Before we do, however, let's take a quick look at their white paper. So in CoinMarketCap, there is no white paper listed. I was able to find a white paper on internet, but it says date June 2021, so it's very old. It's also just a very ugly and quite bad white paper. But we're going to go over it anyways to quickly just have a look, right? We're not going to go in depth on the white paper, just a quick look at it. So the first way to participate in the DeFi revolution. So they go on about that Bscpad is the first platform for initial decentralized IDOs on the Binance Smart Chain. Okay, so right, the first mover advantage. Obviously, since then, there's a lot of other launchpads that have launched on the Binance Smart Chain, so there's a lot more competition nowadays. That was also part of the reason why the price did so well in the beginning, as of course it was the first of the first, and after a while it wasn't anymore. So that's also important to keep in mind. Conceptualized, yep. The long-term goals. We aim to establish ourselves as a stable and successful launchpad. We are already a leader in the crypto space as the leading launchpad on the Binance Smart Chain. To continue this success, we are working with our partners to ensure that we attract and launch the best projects with the highest potential. Okay. Then here they have the Bscpad tiered system. And I mean, you can tell back in the day it was 1,000. Let's see how much it was now, because let's see. 1,000. Oh, it's still 1,000. That's interesting that the tiered system didn't change in all that time. The security protocol, here they have a bit of information about the Bscpad token. So the original market cap, let's see here, that was 43 million. Look at that. That is very, very high. And the current price was $1.33. Of course, this was at their peak, right? This was the 3rd of June. When was that? The 3rd of June. 3rd of June. Around here. Yeah, so that was around here, right? So then the launchpad was just in an overall better shape than it is right now. Here we do have their tokenomics. So 5% for seed, 10% for the private, 15% for public. Very interesting choice to have more for the public than for the private or the seed. Very interesting. 15% liquidity, only 10% for the team, 5% for the advisors, and 15% for the marketing. Okay, quite straightforward. Most Bluezilla launchpads all have the same tokenomics for the most part, so it's quite common to see this particular layout for the tokenomics. And then here we have the project pipeline, which is a lot of text. I don't think anyone in their right mind would read all of that. So yeah, and here they have their advisors: Jesper Brun, Lester Lim. Okay. And then the disclaimer. So very bad white paper, right? We are seeing way too much text. It's very ugly, and we don't even have a graph for the tokenomics. It's also very outdated. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing, to be honest. As for their Twitter, we are seeing 288,000 followers. Of course, their biggest USP, they are the first launchpad on the Binance Smart Chain. They do have an upcoming IDO channel. So let's take a look at that in the Telegram in a bit. And channel support. And then here they have all of their tweets. And they're tweeting quite frequently, actually. And that is, of course, a very good sign, right? Seeing a project actively tweeting and working on the communication with the community and all that. It shows just that they're active, and that's more important than you might think. So here in August 18th, this is Source of Meta. Again, not a very big fan of that IDO, but apparently they did do that IDO as well. So look at that exchange listing process. So that might actually be quite interesting to see how that project performed in the end. Source of Meta, as I believe the IDO was a couple days ago. Let's see here, the token sale. Ooh, okay, quite well actually. Look at that. So seed with a 3.44x, strategic 1.72. Okay, private with a 1.15. So so it's just the public that is down at the moment, but the private sales seem to be doing quite well. Here you have the upcoming IDO Telegram channel. So you can look at that and see everything that's going on. Overall, Source of Meta seems to have been doing quite well. So that is, at the end of the day, a good IDO to have been launched. And yeah, overall, that's just their Twitter as of right now. So that was all for Bscpad. As you can tell, there's not that much information regarding the project, so we weren't able to do a very long review. At the end of the day, we didn't really have a good in-depth white paper, we didn't see a doxed team, there wasn't a lot of token utility, and no live projects at the moment. So then this is pretty much all that we can see right now. So my final thoughts on the project: clearly Bscpad is out of its prime and they had their biggest run in the last bull run. That doesn't mean, however, that the project is dead. The team is still actively working on it and the token is showing a lot of potential. Overall, their projects are doing quite well, and despite the fact that they have their fair share of red flags and things that don't really add up, the token does show this willingness to grow in price over time. And I'm confident that in the bull run, Bscpad will increase in price quite substantially. I also think that when the bull run hits, there will be more projects and the token utility will also go up again. So overall, those are my final thoughts on Bscpad. I'm not necessarily bullish, nor am I bearish. This is just the current state of the project right now. So what do you guys think? Please let me know. Now at least you've had your complete overview of what Bscpad is, the current status of the project, how to get started, and my personal price prediction. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao, ciao.